Hi everybody, Lori here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a couple of fun projects to share with you using some new products from the latest February release with Altenew. I'm going to be starting with the Breezy Quest die set. Such a fun little mini delight, allows you to customize hot air balloons. There's also a Breezy Quest outline stamp set. It's kind of a little mini, but there's a little floral cluster and several sentiments. Also going to be using the Instant Dimension foam tape. You know why, right? Because dimension is life. Okay, 1/4 inch width, 1/16 inch thickness. Love it. I love having all varieties of foam tape. Okay, so here's the Breezy Quest die set. Took apart all the pieces. There's like a base for the hot air balloon, and then there's 3 layers, like slivers. And this allows you to give that kind of colorful dimension. So the middle is the lightest, then the mid-tone, then the darker tone. And then you have the little hot air balloon basket and detail, which I did out of 2 different shades of gray. Solid color cardstock. So you could use, if you're like me and you have a drawer full of solid color cardstock scraps, this is a great time to use it. Also, Altenew sells the gradient cardstock sets. They're like little minis. They're 3 by 6 inches, and you get the perfect gradient sets of colors, like little color families, perfect for a project like this. And they have a variety of colors of 8.5 by 11 solid color cardstock as well. Okay, so here's the pieces. I haven't adhered them, but I'm just laying them out to show you. The little basket detail gives that little embossed texture. And again, I did that in 2 different shades of gray, like a dark charcoal and then a mid-tone gray. And then now I'm gonna do 3 hot air balloons. One is kind of, this one here I'm doing in pinks, 3 different shades of pink. The one I did previously was kind of like a corally orange. And then the third one, 3 different shades of yellow. And I just kind of dug through my scrap drawer is what I did. The only danger I will say is that once you get going on this, you want to make about 14 different hot air balloons in rainbow order. But there's only so much room on a card. So I figured 3 would be a good starting place. I think I could fit 3 on a card. I'm gonna have to crop off a little bit, do a little creative cropping. But so I did a pink, orange, and red-ish color hot air balloon. I'm using some Barely Arts glue to glue all the pieces down. I'm just gluing everything flat. If you wanted to add foam tape, you could do that as well. And so first I'm doing the little baskets. Those are easy peasy. And then gluing on the slivers. It's a little bit of a learning curve because you got to make sure you get the spacing right. I started here on this first one. You know, I'm a total newbie, and I put a little glue on the back of the right little sliver. And so you just got to figure it out as you go. Get that arch to kind of line up on the white die cut. Another thing you could do if you don't want to glue them all, just cover that white die cut with tape runner. You could pop them all down. That would be easy. So I did the right, and then I did the left, and I kind of work my way into the center. And I tried, on each balloon, I tried a different version. I think one time I started in the center, worked my way out. You can go right to left. You know, it's always going to be a little fiddle and futz. That's the nice thing about the liquid glue, is if you work quick enough, you can have a little play time to shift and shimmy if need be, because you don't want any white gaps. You know what I mean? You want all your slivers to just fit in together like a puzzle piece. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And you got to fiddle and futz, but it will work eventually, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so there's the yellow balloon. I'm not going to show you the process because you get the idea. I'm just gluing them together. But it does look so good with the 3 different shades of the yellow, doesn't it? Okay, so there's the yellow balloon. Here's the orange one and the pink. Now, how's everybody doing? I tell you what, here in Minnesota, you want to know what the temperature is today? I'm going to look it up just to be exact, because I just drove the kids. It's -16. Yeah, I just drove the kids to school, and it's that kind of temperature. Like if you have to go to the grocery store and you walk from your car to somewhere, the filling in my puffer jacket gets crunchy. And Hank loves the cold, but at this temperature, not so much. I can tell it kind of hurts his paws. Okay, I'm going to stamp a sentiment, And I've got a white card base, a cream panel, cropped a little bit smaller, laying out the hot air balloons to see where I can nestle in a sentiment. I'm going to be using that Breezy Quest stamp set. I'm stamping Sending Smiles Across the Miles. But there's several different ones in here. Tomorrow is a new day. Onward and upward. There's hugs for you. And I'm just going to keep it simple. Stamp this sentiment in black right onto that cream panel. And then I will pop up the hot air balloons because I want to try out that new foam tape. And so, but I'm going to adhere the cream panel just with tape runner onto the white card. You could also pop this up, which a lot of times I do, but lately I've been just adhering the panel flat onto the card base. That way when I pop up my images, it's not like double dimension. Okay, so for the little hot air balloons, I'm kind of staggering them, nestling them around the sentiment, pulling out this new foam tape. It's skinny little strips, and I love that. And normally I would put a ton, but I just put one strip behind the hot air balloon, and it was enough to give it a little lift, but it's not like so much foam tape. And so then I'm going to just stagger this one, and then I'll have to trim off the excess with my scissors. I'll flip it over and just snip off anything that's hanging off the sides. Can be a little painful because you spent all that time gluing it and now you're snipping it. But the composition wants what the composition wants at the end of the day. Okay, now to finish this off, I'm going to add just a few little clear sequins. And I love to kind of tuck them and nestle them around the sentiment. Tuck some behind the hot air balloon, some on top. And you get that play with the dimension. And there you have it. Card number 1 is finished. Sending Smiles Across the Miles with colorful hot air balloons. Now I'm going to use the Breezy Quest stamp set again and make another card that's going to feature this Have Faith word die. Just a simple little standalone word die. You've got the shadow backer. You've got the Have Faith word die. Nice little mixture of fonts there, and it's all one die cut, you know, when all the letters are connected, which I love. So I'm going to strip it up on the background. Every now and again I like to strip it up. So I have a bunch of strips of solid color cardstock, and these are the same colors that I used on the first card. So the 3 shades of yellow, the 3 shades of peachy orange, and 3 shades of pink. And I'm just doing those kind of on an angle on a panel of white cardstock that I covered with tape runner. And this gives you a nice little movement, nice little colorful background. Once you get all the strips on, which pop on easily, I'll flip it over and just cut off all that excess hanging off the sides, clean it up, and then add a sentiment. Okay, so last little thick, I love that hot pink right down there. I wanted a nice thick corner of it. Okay, flip this over. For this one, I'm going to use my guillotine trimmer. I like to do, when I got to do all 4 sides, I pull out the old guillotine. And that way you're going to get it straight, parallel, accurate corners, clean cut. I just don't have that much confidence to get it clean and sharp with my scissors. Not when I got to do all 4 sides. Okay, so I'm going to take that little floral cluster in the Breezy Quest stamp set, and I'm going to stamp this kind of cascading down the top and bottom corner. And I'm just stamping it with Versamark ink. What I'm going to do, originally I thought I would just stamp it with Versamark ink and it'll give you that tone on tone look. And because I love to do that when you have a colorful background and you want to add a stamped image, I love to do Versamark ink. It gives you a nice tone on tone, especially with all these stripes. But it wasn't showing up as vibrantly as I wanted. So what I decided to do was add clear embossing powder. So I stamped that about 3 times with Versamark ink. Now I'm going to pour on some clear embossing powder. So I'm going to do each corner at a time while the Versamark ink is nice and wet and sticky. I'm going to pour on the embossing powder and then I'll stamp the bottom corner. You could also just stop right there. You don't have to do both corners. And instead of like replacing the stamp, I just flipped the panel around. Just rotated the panel, kept the stamp exactly where it was before, and I'm stamping that again a couple times with Versamark ink. I'll pour on that clear embossing powder, And then I'll pull out the old heat gun. And that'll give you that tone-on-tone look. And it's not introducing any new colors. I didn't want to add any silver or white or black. I just wanted to be kind of muted, but I wanted to have that bit of floral design in the background. Okay, so I got my heat gun nice and hot. You want to work quickly because you don't want to warp your stripped up little strips. Look at how this gives you that tone on tone. I love that look. It's like camouflaged in there. Okay, I'm going to use a little tape runner and adhere this to a white card base. You could also pop it up with that dimensional tape if you want to. Keeping this one kind of flat. And then we'll move on to the Have Faith word die. Okay, so for this, I'm going to do that shadow backer out of some Vellum. It's actually Shimmer Vellum. And then the word die out of matte gold cardstock. So put these on my cutting plate. Take them off camera. And then you have the Shimmer Vellum. I love that. Gives a little shimmer, but you can still see the strips in the background. And then see how that Have Faith, it's all one held together. I went ahead and did 3 more out of white, and I'm going to stack these up. It is pretty intricate. If you wanted to try to put foam tape behind this, I think it's easier just to die cut 3 out of white and stack them up. Kicking it old school with the dimension. Okay, so yeah, it's painfully cold out here. A lot of snow. I will say it's beautiful. And the sun is shining a lot. It's very sunny, but it's colder than the dickens. Anywho, I could go for a beach somewhere. You know, the February feelings of the winter. You just want to go get some sun. Like, there is sun, but you can't go outside or your nose hairs will freeze. Luckily, my husband, he has been walking Hank in the morning, but I think the walks are getting pretty short. Pretty short when it gets this cold. Okay, glued on the stacked up Have Faith die cut. Glued it onto that Shimmer Vellum shadow backer. I put a couple little slivers, not a ton. You could glue this straight or you could put it on an angle. I chose to do an angle. Makes me feel like I'm young and hip. I don't know why, but you just got to do what you got to do. Put on a few clear sequins, staggered them, and then you have this card. It's very simple, but you got a lot of movement. You've got that floral cluster embossed in the background. Which one do you like better? The hot air balloons or the stripped up Have Faith? I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure and check out Altenew's new February release. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.